The new Artificer is out and I'm building Smash Bros characters, so let's go ahead and dive into Samus. When it comes to a species, we're going with human, because you are human under that suit. This gives us skillful, giving us a skill proficiency of any type that we want, so we're going to go with athletics, and it gives us the feature versatile. So we're going to keep it basic, grab tough. This gives us an extra 2 hit points of health per level of this overall build. Then when it comes to a background, they haven't given a new updated version of the bounty hunter yet, and Samus is a bounty hunter. But there is something that's somewhat close from the new updates from Faerun, which is inquisitive, and that follows the same ideas as what a bounty hunter does, because it's described as honing your talents of investigation and deduction. You explore mysteries, find missing people, recover stolen goods, unearth corruption and conspiracies, and solve crimes and all sorts of stuff. You're basically a detective. It's pretty close to being a bounty hunter. We get 2 skill proficiencies with this, automatically granting us insight, and then we'll just grab stealth because stealth kind of helps in some of the random Metroid games. This also gives us the feat alert, so when you roll initiative, you can add your proficiency bonus to the roll, and from this you also get initiative swap. So immediately after you roll initiative, you can swap your initiative with the initiative of one willing ally. Then when it comes to a class, no surprise, we're diving into Artificer. Samus is a very high-tech kind of character, and Artificer just fits. We get a few skill proficiencies with grabbing, perception, and investigation. We get some spell casting right away, but Artificers are half casters, so we're going to have to slow play most of the spells. When it comes to cantrips, we can grab things like Firebolt, which is just a basic blast from your blaster, and then because Samus in Smash Bros has more of a grab with a bolt of lightning that reaches out and pulls enemies in, we can grab Lightning Lure because it's insanely fitting. It does some damage and reaches out 15 feet and pulls a creature 10 feet closer to you. We can hit everything around us with something like Sword Burst, and then we can grab a defensive option with something like Resistance. When it comes to some first level spells, grab Fairy Fire. It's insanely helpful. It highlights a bunch of enemies, just like it's your high-tech helmet, highlighting enemies around you, and it'll give you advantage on attacks against them. And then so you have some way to heal yourself, also grab Cure Wounds. But one thing that's also great to pick up whenever you can is Absorb Elements. It really saves you in a pinch. It makes it so you take half damage from an elemental attack, and you can then deal some extra damage of that type when you attack later. Also at first level of Artificer, you get Tinker's Magic. So as a magic action, while you're holding some Tinker's tools, you can create some random small object that might be pretty helpful. In my home game, I've actually had a player use some caltrops recently, which can be pretty helpful. But as a bounty hunter, you can grab things like manacles, even though they might not necessarily fit on the alien creatures you're coming up against. Second level of Artificer gives you Replicate Magic Item. So we're actually going to keep this pretty limited. The whole reason we go with Artificer is because you upgrade your equipment throughout the Metroid games and get certain advancements. However, the types of technological upgrades that you get in D&D is somewhat limited. So at level 2, there's only a couple that would really fit for Samus. One is going to be a bag of holding. You need to be able to pick up as much stuff as possible, and it's always helpful to have a bag of holding. But we're also going to grab Wand of Secrets. This helps you find secret compartments and secret items that you might be searching for while you're going through D&D. But this can also be more of a highlighted object in the Metroid games. Another great option though is the Goggles of Night. You're very often in very dark areas, and you are a human, so you don't naturally get dark vision, so Goggles of Night is pretty helpful to throw in there as well. Third level of Artificer allows us to choose an Artificer subclass. And there's basically 2 choices. We can focus on the Blaster, which is pretty solid. It's a good choice. There's nothing wrong with it. But Samus is a bit more iconic for her general armor. So we're going to go with Armorer. This gives us proficiency with heavy armor. We also gain proficiency with Smith's tools, and you can craft non-magical armor in about half the amount of time it would normally take anybody else. It also gives us some additional spells, like Magic Missile, which is super helpful. It is very spot on. You let out a bunch of blasts, and if you're shooting rapid fire, Magic Missile fits perfectly. There's also Thunder Wave, just letting out a big blast that knocks everybody within 15 feet of you further away. And then we also get some Arcane Armor. So as a magic action, while you have Smith's tools in your hand, you can turn a suit of armor that you're wearing into Arcane Armor. When it becomes Arcane Armor, it no longer has a strength requirement, and a lot of heavy armor does have strength requirements. So ignoring that is very helpful. Then you get Quick Don and Doff. So you can don or doff armor just as an action, which is pretty helpful in case you want to go with Zero Suit Samus. And speaking of Zero Suit Samus, we're gonna be kind of integrating what you would do for Zero Suit into this main Samus build. But basically the only difference at this point is that you might want to pick up the spell Long Strider because Zero Suit Samus is just generally a bit faster. Otherwise, pretty much everything else is the same so far. Then lastly, because of Arcane Armor, that armor becomes your spellcasting focus, and you get to choose an armor model. They have some new options since they updated the armor in 2025, and there's one that I'm super excited about, and I totally want to make a Gundam build, but I can't do that yet because I'm trying to get through a lot of Smash Bros characters, because they basically have a giant mech robot version. But ignoring that, they have the Guardian version, which is much more about defense, and you can punch stuff with a Thunder Punch, but that doesn't fit quite as well because we need a bit more of a blaster. And the way to get that is to go with the Infiltrator armor. This boosts your speed by 5 feet, and it has dampening field. So you have advantage on stealth checks, and if the armor happens to impose disadvantage on stealth checks, the advantage and disadvantage cancel each other out. So it becomes normal. But most importantly, it gives you Lightning Launcher. So a gem-like node appears on your armor, from which you can shoot bolts of lightning. The launcher counts as a simple ranged weapon with a range of 90 feet and a long range of 300 feet, and it deals 1d6 lightning damage on a hit. But on top of that, once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with your lightning launcher, you can deal an extra 1d6 lightning damage. And this all focuses on your intelligence modifier, which is going to be worth noting because at 4th level, you get an ability score improvement. So here are our starting ability scores. Obviously, focused on that intelligence. It's our most important stat. But I also wanted to make sure we had a little bit of dexterity because dex saving throws are pretty important. But with this ability score, we're just going to boost up intelligence by 2 points. Then at 5th level of Artificer, you get extra attack. So now you can blast twice with your blaster. But you also get access to 2nd level spells. By default, from being an armorer, you get Mirror Image, which really helps with your defensive abilities. But you also get Shatter, which is just a big thunderous boom you can let out. Then you do have a bit of a flamethrower ability in the games. So we're going to grab Dragon's Breath. Being in space all the time, you might need a little extra oxygen, so we're going to grab Air Bubble from the Spelljammer book. It literally creates a globe of air around your head so you can actually breathe. And then if you're going with Zero Suit Samus, you can grab Kinetic Jaunt. It'll boost your speed by 10 feet and make you much more nimble. But if you want some armor that might be able to turn you invisible or something, you can go with Invisibility, or to deal with invisible enemies, grab C Invisibility. The only other one I just love getting most of the time because it's a good spell, even if it doesn't necessarily fit Samus, is Heat Metal. It's just so good when you come up against armored enemies. Then at 6th level of Artificer, you get Magic Item Tinker. So your Replicate Magic Item feature gains some additional options. And you get Charge Magic Item. So as a bonus action, you can touch a magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you created with the Replicate Magic Item, as long as that item uses charges. You expend at least a level 1 spell slot, and you can recharge the item. The number of charges the item regains is equal to the level of the spell slot you used. You can also use Drain Magic Item. So as a bonus action, you can touch a magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you created with Replicate Magic Item and cause the item to vanish, converting its magical energy into a spell slot. The spell slot is level 1 if the item is common, or level 2 if it's an uncommon or rare item. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, and any spell slot you create with this feature vanishes when you finish a long rest. The last option for Magical Item Tinker is Transmute Magic Item. So as a magic action, you can touch one magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you created and transform it into a different magic item. The resulting item has to be based on a magic item plan that you know, and you can only use this feature once per long rest. But with all these magic items, you do get to create a new one at this level too, and there's only one that I think could work, and it's probably the Helm of Awareness. It just gives you advantage on initiative rolls, but it feels very fitting for Samus and having more of a heads-up display under her helmet. 7th level of Artificer gives you Flash of Genius. So when you or a creature within 30 feet of you fails an ability check or saving throw, you can take a reaction to add a bonus to the roll equal to your intelligence modifier. You can only use this reaction a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, but that's still a ton of help. 8th level of Artificer gives us another ability score improvement. And I was going to grab Elemental Adept because that would make it so we can ignore resistance to lightning, but it only applies to spells, so it wouldn't work for our lightning launcher. So instead, we're going to actually take a normal ability score improvement, throw 1 point into intelligence, maxing it out, and throw 1 point into constitution. This will make it an odd number, but we'll be able to address it really well in a minute. Then at 9th level of Artificer, we get access to 3rd level spells. As an armorer, we automatically get Hypnotic Pattern, which is absolutely amazing. It can completely change a battle, incapacitating a huge group of enemies, but we also get Lightning Bolt, so you can get a massive blast from your blaster. But on top of that, we're also going to grab Haste, just for the sake of Zero Suit Samus being so fast. But also at 9th level, thanks to our subclass, we get Improved Armor, and this gives us a few benefits. First, it gives us Armor Replication. So you learn an additional plan for your Replicate Magic item feature, and it must be in the Armor category. And since we can wear such heavy armor without having to worry about any issues related to it, we're going to grab just a basic +2 to plate armor. This makes it so if we have heavy plate armor, our armor class without even dealing with a shield is 20 AC, which is great. There are plenty of other armor choices here with armors of resistance, but we don't know what we're going to go up against, and a basic +2 to armor class is always useful. Then the other thing from improved armor is improved arsenal. So you gain a default +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls with your special weapon of your arcane armor model. So your lightning launcher gets a +1 bonus by default. I wanted to grab a +1 bonus from the Replicate Magic item list, but I knew we were going to get this anyways, so it just felt like kind of a waste. Then at 10th level of Artificer, you get a couple more Replicate Magic item options. So we're going to go with a Ring of Mind Shielding, so you don't have anything that'll latch onto your brain and start messing with your mind, and a Ring of Jumping, so you can have a bit more of a double jump to get back on the stage in Smash Bros. But also at this level, you get Magic Item Adept, so you can actually attune to up to 4 magic items at one time, while everybody else is stuck with a max of 3. 11th level of Artificer gives us Spell Storing Item, so when you finish a long rest, you can touch one symbol or martial weapon, or one item that can be used as a spellcasting focus, and you can store a spell inside of it. You have to choose a level 1, 2, or 3 Artificer spell that has a casting time of an action and doesn't require material components that would be consumed. While holding the object, a creature can take a magic action to produce the spell's effect from it, using your spellcasting modifier. If the spell requires concentration, that creature has to concentrate on it. This spell can be used a number of times equal to twice your intelligence modifier, meaning that you have a level 3 spell that, since you have max intelligence, you can actually cast 10 times. So that means you have 10 lightning bolts you can be shooting out just whenever you feel like it. 12th level of Artificer gives us another ability score improvement, but we're finally going to take a feat, and we're going to go with Heavy Armor Master. We really want to focus on this armor. This will allow us to throw 1 point into Constitution, rounding it out, and it gives us damage reduction. So when you're hit by an attack while you're wearing heavy armor, or any bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage dealt to you is reduced by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus. This feat doesn't necessarily apply to Zero Suit Samus, but the whole point of Zero Suit Samus is that she lost her armor. At least that's how she was originally made, so I think it's very fitting either way. 13th level of Artificer gives us access to 4th level spells. By default, we get Fire Shield, which is just kind of cool, and we get Greater Invisibility. So we can turn on an invisibility field in our armor and be able to use it a lot better than basic invisibility, because normal invisibility shuts off the second that you wind up doing anything, like attacking. But greater invisibility, you can just keep blasting people and moving around without anybody seeing you. Then to turn into a little ball, we're going to grab the spell Odaluke's Resilient Sphere. This is actually supposed to be used on somebody else most of the time, but you can just as easily use it on yourself. It makes it so nothing, not physical objects, energy, or any other spell effects can pass through the barrier. So turn into a little ball, roll around, and make sure you're damage proof. Zero Suit Samus might want something like freedom of movement, but there's 2 spells that are absolutely amazing to have. One is Fabricate. It allows you to basically make anything that you have the ability to make, but do so pretty much instantly, and it can entirely decimate economies if you use it right. But the other one is Elemental Bane. We have a lot of lightning damage we can deal, and Elemental Bane is going to boost that up considerably. You get to choose a creature you can see within range, and choose one damage type. We're going to go with Lightning. because most of our stuff does lightning damage. The target has to make a Constitution saving throw, otherwise it's affected by the spell for the entire duration of it, which is a minute. Then the first time on each turn the target takes damage of that lightning type, they take an extra 2d6 damage, massively boosting the amount of damage you can do with either your lightning launcher or your lightning bolt. And it should be noted that if you upcast this, which Artificers only get access to 5th level spells a little later, but if you use a 5th level spell, you can actually target one additional creature at the same time. There's one other spell I usually grab, which is Summon Construct, but I don't think that fits as well for Samus. 14th level of Artificer gives us Advanced Artifice. So you can now attune to up to 5 magic items while everybody else is stuck with only 3 attunements, and you get Refreshed Genius. So when you finish a short rest, you can expend one of your Flash of Genius features. Also at 14th level, you get some more magic items to replicate. We're going to go with the Ring of Protection just to boost our armor class by another 1 point, but it also adds a +1 to all of our saving throws. Then we'll also go ahead and get the Ring of Free Action. So no matter what, difficult terrain doesn't cost you any extra movement, and your speed can't be reduced, and you can't be paralyzed or restrained. That's more for helping out Zero Suit Samus. 15th level of Artificer, thanks to our subclass, gives us Perfected Armor. So this would boost up everything, whether you're a Dreadnought, a Guardian, or in our case, an Infiltrator. So the damage die from your lightning launcher is increased to 2d6 lightning damage. So now you can do 2d6 lightning damage plus your intelligence modifier with your first attack, and then again as your second attack. You can add an extra 1d6 once per turn, thanks to the basics of your lightning launcher, and then you could throw an extra 2d6 on there with Elemental Bane. And on top of that, any creature that takes damage from your lightning launcher actually kind of shines with glimmering light, creating a dim light in a 5-foot radius. And it has disadvantage on attack rolls against you, as the light jolts it if it happens to attack you. Additionally, your Infiltrator armor allows you to use a bonus action to give you a fly speed equal to twice your speed until the end of your current turn, but you can only use that bonus action a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. Then at 16th level of Artificer, you get another ability score improvement. And we want to help out Zero Suit Samus a little bit more since we've been kind of ignoring that aspect of Samus for a bit, and grab the feat Speedy. This allows us to boost up our Constitution modifier by 1 more point. It boosts our speed by 10 feet, and when you take the dash action on your turn, difficult terrain doesn't cost you any extra movement. Then on top of that, opportunity attacks against you are always at disadvantage. 17th level of Artificer gives us access to 5th level spells. As an armor, we by default get Pass Wall and Wall of Force. Wall of Force is one of the best shields you can have. Then when it comes to 5th level spells you can actually choose, there's not many that actually fit with Samus that well. If you want to let out a ton of little blasts, you can go with Animate Objects. If you want to fly around in your own spaceship, grab Create Spelljamming Helm. But as a nod to Smash Bros. And Master Hand, we'll also grab Bigby's Hand. Even though it's not necessarily under the control of Samus, it never hurts to have Master Hand on your side. 18th level of Artificer gives you Magic Item Master, so you can now attune to up to 6 magic items at one time. 19th level gives you an Epic Boon. And one thing I really like to get for half casters is Boon of Spell Recall. They get more use out of it than anybody else, because whenever you cast a spell of 1st through 4th level, you get to roll a d4. And if the number you roll is the same as the spell slot's level, the spell slot isn't expended, giving you a 25% chance on any 1st through 4th level spell of being a free casting. And considering Artificers only get access to 5th level spell casting, meaning the vast majority of their spells are gonna be 1st through 4th level, that's really helpful. I was tempted to get something to round out that Constitution score instead, but I love the Boon of Spell Recall for a build like an Artificer. It's just too useful. Then at 20th level of Artificer, you get Soul of Artifice. So you have developed a mystical connection with your magical items, and it gives you 2 features. First, we got to cover magical guidance. So when you finish a short rest, you can regain all the expended uses of your Flash of Genius, as long as you have attunement to at least 1 item. And Flash of Genius is super helpful pretty much all the time. But something that applies very spot on to the transformation from normal Samus in her suit to Zero Suit Samus is the feature Cheat Death. So if you're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can actually disintegrate any number of uncommon or rare magic items created by your Replicate Magic Item feature. If you do so, your hit point instead change to a number equal to 20 times the number of magic items disintegrated. And considering Zero Suit Samus is all about taking a bunch of damage or dealing with a massive blast and then the armor just falls off, this is insanely spot on. That brings you to 20th level, which is max level in Dungeons & Dragons. If you want access to a character sheet for this build or any of my other builds, feel free to check out my Patreon, linked in the comments and description down below. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button. And I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to be an intergalactic bounty hunter fighting space aliens and trying to hope they won't latch onto your mind by playing as Samus in Dungeons & Dragons. And if you made it all the way here, chances are you might like one of my other videos. YouTube thinks you would probably like this one. It popped it up for a reason. I don't know what the algorithm's thinking, but apparently it thinks you'll like it.